Welcome back to College Algebra videos. Today we'll be determining values of logarithms, but without a calculator. Okay, so this is in section 5.3. And I want to recall is this. We had done this in the last video, but I want to make sure that you remember. Again, if you haven't written it down yet, you do want to make sure that you understand that one way to think about the left-hand side is to say this A is the base. You're raising it to a power, and it's equal to the answer. And so today we're going to use this again to translate. And what we want to be able to do, we want to determine values of logarithms, and so we're actually going to go this way. So we're going to be given a log. We understand that this is the base. We understand that whatever inside is the answer, and the x on the outside, that's the power. And in fact, what we're going to try to determine is the power. We're going to be given a problem of this form, log, base, and an answer. And the question would be, what's the power? And so we're going to use this way of translating, and so I'll give you some strategies how you can do this. So go ahead and go to the first example. Excuse me. So the goal is to I want to know what this is equal to. This is the question. Determine the value. And we don't have a calculator, and even if we did, we couldn't use it yet. Okay, so how would you approach this? Well, what I like to do is I like to say, well, I don't know what this number is. I know it's a power. I know this is supposed to be, so let me write y. I know that this is supposed to be a power, and this is supposed to be the power. So I'm going to call it y. I don't know what it is. I know that 5 is the base. And I know that 25 is sort of like my answer. So what I do is I translate. I translate the way we did last time. I put it in exponential form. And so let me write that down to remind you, in exponential form, what this would be is you would say, okay, let's take y, let's take the base, 5, raise it to the power of y, and I want this to be equal to 125. Now, we've solved these before. In fact, these are the first videos that we solved. Remember that what we did is we wrote 125 as a power, and in fact, I wrote sort of a thinking. I go something like this. I know that 5 to the first power is 5, 5 squared is 25, and 5 to the third power is 125. And so what I can do is I can replace the 125 on the right with 5 cubed. And so 5 to the y is equal to 5 cubed. But we know how to solve this. We know that this means that y equals cubed. So what that means for us in general, or at least for this problem, is this is the way you would write this. So this is the correct way of writing the answer. So let me write answer. We would say that log 5 of 125 is equal to 3. That is the answer right there. Okay? Try the second one. Pause the video and try the second one. Alright, so here's how I would do the second one. Again, I would set this equal to y. I haven't told you this yet, or maybe I have in a previous video, but sometimes we're a little lazy. This expression here on the left, it really means log. The base is 10, but we ignore the 10. We don't write it anymore. So whenever you see log by itself, it means log 10 is equal to y. So now we write this in exponential form. And the way we would write this in exponential form is you would say, okay, well, we have the base is 10, the power is y, and it's 1 over 1,000. Okay, so now we have to remember negative exponents. I want you to recall that 10 squared is 10 times 10, so it's 100. In fact, let me start off with 10 cubed. So let me try this again. 10 cubed is 10 times 10 times 10, and that's 1,000. 10 squared is 100. 10 to the first is 10. 10 to the 0 is 1. 10 to the negative 1 is the reciprocal, so it's 1/10. 10 to the negative 2 is the reciprocal of 10 squared, so it's 1 over 100. And 10 to the negative 3 is the reciprocal of 10 cubed, so it's 1 over 1,000. Okay, so that means that here I can rewrite this. On the right-hand side, I can replace 1 over 1,000 with 10 to the y is equal to 10 to the negative 3. And so this means that our y is negative 3. So our answer in this case is the following. Log of 1 over 1,000 is equal to negative 3. That's the answer right there. That's how I'd like you to learn how to write this. Another one. Now, another one of the things that I don't think I've explained yet is that whenever you see natural log, it's the same thing as writing log base e, but we get a little lazy, so we write ln. Some of you who've seen this in high school know this already, but just in case. So I'm going to set this equal to y, but again, I'm going to rewrite it the way that maybe makes the most sense. Log e cubed is equal to y. So let's write this in exponential form. In exponential form, I take this base, I use that power, and I write this answer. Oh, but that's really easy. It's already set, right? So now we know that y is equal to 3. There's no work to do. In fact, the natural logs are the easiest ones. And so again, remember that our answer here would be written as follows. The answer would be that the natural log of e cubed is equal to 3. All right. There's a different explanation for this, and those of you who have had logarithms before, you might want to think back as to another way of knowing that this was 3. All right, let's try this one. This one's a little bit trickier. Okay, so I set this equal to y, and then I go ahead and use exponential form, and I say 4 to some power is equal to 1/2. Huh. Well, what power would that be, and how do I relate 4 and 2? Well, this is where we go back to our first video in this section, where we recall that 4 is equal to 2 squared. So that I can write here on the left, I can write this as 2 squared to the y. And also, I want you to remember that 2 to the negative 1, that's equal to 1/2. So on the right-hand side, I can write 1/2 as 2 to the negative 1. And so 2 to the 2y is equal to 2 to the negative 1, which means that 2y is negative 1, which means that y is negative 1/2. And so this means then, finally, that my answer is as follows. The log 4 of 1/2 is equal to negative 1/2. Okay? And so, again, you see this power of translation, being able to translate this to powers. And hopefully you can see why I designed the videos to be in the timeline that I did. So, because you want to know how to solve exponential form before you can get to this. Okay, a couple more. So, last few. Here, the idea is that I want to remind you the following. So, for example, for this first example, I want you to remind you that 2 to the 1/2 really means the square root of 2. And so that's going to be very important, because when we rewrite this in exponential form, so we set this equal to y, and so we say, okay, so here's our base 2, here's our power y, and it's equal to the square root of 2, but the square root of 2 is really 2 to the 1/2. And so notice that you get that y is equal to 1/2. So that means that our answer is that log 2 of radical 2 is equal to 1/2. Okay, so this is what we would want you to write. This third one, or this last one here, the last one we're going to do, again, let's set this equal to y. Let's translate. Remember that I don't write the 10, the base is 10 here, but we're not writing it. We're being that lazy form of the log. And so the exponential form here, we take the base 10, we raise it to the power y, and then we write the cube root of 10. Or, sorry, the cube root of 100. Well, here, what we want you to remember is that 100 to the third power is the same thing as the cube root of 100. And so this is in the previous videos that we had done. And so once we know this, now it becomes, again, if you don't know this, this is going to be difficult. So it is something that you do need to learn. But now that you know this, if you know that, then 10 to the y is just 100 to the third. But you know that 100 is 10 squared. So that means 10 to the y is equal to 10 squared to the 1/3. And now I want you to recall that anytime you have two powers, we've done this again in previous videos, but you just have to multiply. And so here what happens is that what we do is we say, okay, 10 to the y, let's multiply 2 over 1 times 1/3. Well, that's just 2/3, so 10 to the y equals 10 to the 2/3, which means that y is 2/3. And so our answer is the fact that log cube root of 100 is just 2/3. Okay, I hope this helps. Good luck with your homework.